So the other day I alluded to two different things happening to me, two amazing things happening to me on the same day. That never happens, right? You expect, one amazing thing a week or a month, but two in the same day, just remarkable. So I alluded to, the last video I spoke about how it blew my mind that Tower of Power are coming to Mount Gambier to play at a jazz festival. They're my favourite band of all time. I got a little bit emotional, and I'm still a little bit emotional when I start to think about them being here. So the story of generations in jazz and Tower of Power and all of that stuff, that took precedence over the first amazing thing that happened. So now I thought now's a pretty good time to perhaps talk about that. Just need to go back a few years to COVID. Awful time for the whole planet, of course, and everything stopped, as we know. But just prior to that, my job, at the time I was selling cars. I was selling Mercedes-Benz cars, and it turned out that I was selling a car to a viola player from the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. And of course we had lots to talk about and lots of connections there. Ended up going to her house to deliver the car, and she had a beautiful sound system in her home. I remember she had VAF loudspeakers in there. Apparently she didn't really care for them, which surprised me, but it was her husband's system. Anyhow, so we get talking, and she mentions to me that the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra has a come and try or come and join the orchestra community outreach type thing. It's like, well, that sounds pretty cool. And I'm thinking it's for kids, right? Anyway, she says, no, it's everyone can, yes, we get some kids, but adults are most welcome as well. So she puts in a good word for me at the time. And amazingly, I get selected, accepted, or whatever their criteria is to join this thing. And yeah, I'm all locked in. I'm going to go to Adelaide, spend the night, play with a professional symphony orchestra, and I'm thinking it's going to be the best thing ever. And it would have been. It would have been really, really amazing to be around those players of that calibre. And anyhow, of course, COVID happens, and that's the end of that. But it's always been in my mind that was an opportunity that, right place, right time, maybe I would have seen it on social media and applied anyhow. Maybe if I didn't have the connection with, I can't remember her name. That's terrible. Maybe it was Cynthia or something. Yeah, she's a viola player. I'm not even sure she's still in the orchestra now. Maybe it would have happened, maybe it wouldn't without that influence, I don't know. But it was really nice of her to mention it, and according to her, she put in a pretty good word for me, and I got accepted. And then, of course, it didn't go ahead because of COVID, which is a real shame. And I've done a little bit of orchestral playing through the years, but never at a professional level or semi-professional level even. There's a community orchestra here that gets together or, forms every year for a concert, and they do a 10-week series of rehearsals followed by a concert or two. Sometimes we just do one in town here, or sometimes we'll do an outreach concert in somewhere like Narracourt or Penola or Robe, can't remember, but I definitely did one in Narracourt as well. And they bring in an excellent conductor with deep orchestral roots, and I'm sure he's well paid for what he does. And yeah, I play trumpet in the orchestra. Typically I play first chair trumpet. And yeah, it's good. It's nice. It's a nice community orchestra, but it's a community amateur orchestra. And with that, of course, there are going to be the shortcomings. There's going to be some tuning issues. There's going to be some timing issues. There's going to be people not being able to turn up for rehearsals because they've got soccer or they've got softball or whatever it is they're doing. It's never, in community ensembles, it's always something else takes precedence over the music. There's very few that it's music first and then everything else. Of course, family, music, not music family, ideally, but you know, we get that line blurred from time to time as well. So anyhow, the rehearsals for the orchestra happen and we put on a great concert and everyone loves it. And it's good. We play some really traditional classical repertoire, which is nice. I like it, right? But it's not always public appealing, but they still seem to, well, to public appealing enough to fill the theatres that we play in. So that's good, and I guess they know their target market. But last year, they did something a little different. They did the regular orchestra concert that I just spoke about, but then they did a commercial concert where they did popular music. It was great, right? They had a rhythm section, piano, guitar, bass and drums, really outstanding players. They had singers join us, doing some great songs. And of course, when you get into that more traditional classical repertoire, it's all very strings focused, and you know, they're playing all the intricate lines, and it still blows my mind that they can do what they do. It's just astounding. That's the violin players. And we're very lucky to have a extremely capable concertmaster or principal violinist. She is an outstanding musician. And we get plenty of people travelling that come to the concert, come to the orchestra as well from all around the region. They trundle in for the rehearsals and they drive their 100 k's home or whatever. So it's a big effort for them, a couple of 100 kilometres round trip to play in the orchestra. I had a couple of years off in the middle where I wasn't playing the trumpet so much, but now I'm still not playing the trumpet so much, but I'm playing it more than I was. So I'm sort of back into it now and doing my best. Anyhow, so they do the commercial popular music concert and it's an absolute blast. And of course, when you start playing commercial music, it's much more brass focused. So I had a lot of fun playing some, I know it's orchestral, but I got to play some lead trumpet. Okay, I got to lay into some things. They did a Louis Armstrong feature and got to play on that. And my wife, who went to the concert, she didn't know I was doing it. So that was a surprise for her. I think she cried. Hopefully she cried. I tried to make her cry. When I stood up the back and played the Louis Armstrong solo with the big wide vibrato and stuff. It was a lot of fun to play it. So that was cool. And we did some Michael Jackson tunes and I can't even think of the songs now. It was only 6 months ago. It all just ekes out of my brain. Anyway, it was a great concert. Filled the theatre and everyone's like, when are you doing the next one? And I think the talk was they were going to do it every 2 years, but I've also heard some rumours that maybe it will happen annually. So it's good when you're an amateur musician like I am now to have these opportunities and just keep in touch with the instrument. So if you're out there playing and you know, you're thinking, oh, maybe I just won't do any practice or maybe I'll just chuck it in because there's not much happening. There might not be much happening at the moment, but just around the corner, maybe there's something is. So I do like to try and just stay a little bit in touch with the trumpet all of the time. And I actually, for the popular concert that we did, I bought a different mouthpiece. I normally play on a Bach 3C mouthpiece, which is kind of an in-between size, and I can sort of play some lead on it, and it's got a nice, colourful, rich sound. But I thought for an orchestral concert, maybe I'll buy something a little bit bigger. So I ordered from the music shop a Vincent Bach 1.5C. What turned up was a Vincent Bach 1.5B. I don't know the difference. It's fine. So if you know what the difference is, put a comment or something. But it plays fine. I haven't really done anything on it yet. A little bit of practice here and there. But it certainly is a much warmer sounding mouthpiece to the 3C, and I think will suit an orchestral situation, certainly with the way I play, much better. So I've obviously hinted at what's happening next is the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. They put out the call again because they're going to reintroduce this come and try, come and play program. So I jump onto the computer and yeah, I'm interested, and I played about this level, and I live in Mount Gambier, but getting to Adelaide, no trouble. It's about 4.5 hours for those that don't know. Getting to Adelaide, no trouble, blah, 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 and send it off and wait. And then I thought, hang on, I know the principal trumpet player of the orchestra. What I might do is I might just send him a message So I send Dave a message and say, hey, this thing's coming up, tick, 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 and I'd love to be involved. Could you put in a good word for me? And he's like, yeah, it'd be great to have you, because I work with Dave in a brass band, and he's an outstanding player. Yeah, so he said, yeah, I'll put in a good word for you. I don't know if he did, but yeah. So anyhow, I got accepted. So I've been accepted to play in this thing, and then they send the bill, right? I didn't know you had to pay. It's not too much, so it's fine. But they send the bill, so I pay the bill, and then she sends the music through. And it's all the violin music, of course, because, nothing goes to plan. So she apologises and then sent me the trumpet music. And the piece we're playing is, got to check because I'm not going to remember it offhand, by Sibelius, Symphony No. 2 in D major, Opus 43. Now, I've had a quick listen to it, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's Sibelius, of course it's beautiful, right? But I've got the music, first, second and third trumpet. So now I've got some work to do, because it's not that easy. It is, and I don't know where I'm going to sit, right? So I don't know if they're going to say, oh, sit with the first trumpet player or sit with the third trumpet player. I'd like to sit with the first trumpet player, because that's where I play, right? That'd be great. But I'd be equally happy to play some of the inner parts in the second trumpet and the third trumpet part. But this concert it's not a concert, there's no performance. It's just the rehearsal or the workshop. Is at the end of March. So I've only got 4 weeks to learn this, and I guess the professional players had learned that in 4 days. But I think I'm going to need all of the 4 weeks to try and pull it together, and I might film some of those practice sessions. I certainly won't try and pick it up and play it now cold, because that would be awful for everybody. But yeah, really excited about playing this piece with a professional orchestra. This is, while I've played previously at a pretty high level, I'm certainly not at a high level as a musician anymore. With a few weeks practice, I'll get some chops back and start to sound okay. But what I'm really looking forward to is being amongst that rich sound that an orchestra provides, with players that are just in tune. You don't have to think about it. It just happens. And entries are together, and cut-offs are together, and people move together because they're listening. And they're just things that you don't get in a lot of community orchestras, because people are really concentrating on their instrument, on making the thing make a sound. Just to be amongst that quality of player is going to be amazing. And hopefully I get to sit next to Dave, who is the principal trumpet player. I said we've worked together before. He's got a great story too, and I'd love to perhaps interview him one day, because probably going back 15 or 16 years, we're playing in the brass band, and I was playing rep cornet, piano cornet, and he was sitting next to me on soprano, playing all the high stuff. And he said then that he wanted to play principal trumpet in the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. We're in an orchestra, but ideally the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, because that's where he lived. And he worked his butt off, and he got there. He did the work, he did the practice, and they came down here a few years ago, and I went and saw them play. And I think he did the Haydn trumpet concerto or the Hummel, I'm not sure which one it was now, but he played it fantastic. It was great to see him out the front of the orchestra. He was always a great player, but to hear him play at that level was really quite spectacular, and humbling that, sat next to him, right? And he's a hell of a nice bloke as well, which helps. It doesn't hurt to be a nice bloke in music. So yeah, and incidentally, the orchestra, the weekend that I'm going to go and do this, the Thursday before or the Friday before, they're actually in Mount Gambier performing. So maybe they'll even play this. Probably they will. So I'm going to go and see them play at the theatre here, and then I'm going to jump in a car and go to Adelaide and spend the next day with them in presumably it's the Percy Granger studio on Hindley Street in Adelaide. It's the home of the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. So that was the other amazing thing that's happened this week. Just happened to be smushed into one day. And I might try and document, certainly the practice. I'll do some of the practicing and you know, so you can sort of maybe hear it come together. There's some great recordings online that I could probably play along with as well. But it starts off in 6/4, but it's kind of in 3. So it's kind of hard to count when there's no conductor. I guess I could find a YouTube version and try and follow the conductor on YouTube. Exciting times. I really, really can't wait. And yeah, I'll document the playing, and I'll see if I'm allowed to document some of the rehearsal. I'd love to put some video up of the rehearsal time, but I could certainly show you the studio and show you around the orchestra while I'm there. I'm sure we'd be able to do that. I'm sure they'd all sign disclaimers for being used on internet and advertising and social media, so maybe that applies to people like me trying to make some sort of impact on YouTube as well. I don't know. Anyhow, that's my second amazing story, and right now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to put on, I don't think I have this on vinyl, so I'm not going to be able to play a record, but I'm going to stream this through my beautiful B-Lab 5s and follow along with the music and see if I can make some sense of it. Thanks for sticking around, and more to come in the coming weeks and months.